Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Cyber Foundation Fridays, as also part of the Cyber Back to School event. We are closing down Cyber Back to School. This is actually the last Cyber Foundation Friday that falls into Cyber Back to School and in the Cybersecurity Awareness Month of October, with our next three sessions being in November. But feel free to go to cyberbacktoschool.com. It is in the ticker below, and look at all of the previous events. So all the recordings and everything should be accessible through the schedule. Or if you're looking for a particular speaker, there is a link to the speakers, or you can browse the sessions on the session link. All great information that's been shared this month. We've got 4 days left, and 4 to 5 more sessions, I think, that are part of those last 4 days. So enjoy, and I want to thank as well all of the contributors to that event. This being the inaugural. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month and Cyber Back to School, as a learning event across Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So I want to thank everybody for their contributions. Many of the same ones that are part of my Azure Back to School event that takes place, that Derek Smith and I organize in September, but some new ones as well. So I really appreciate you getting involved. This is going to be an annual event. So if you missed out and you want to contribute to Cyber Back to School, keep an eye out. Probably around spring of next year, we'll put the call for speakers out for October of 2025. So, and if you're looking for an event to get involved in, there is the Festive Tech Calendar coming up here in December, which they've got the call for speakers that closes on October 31st of 2024. If you're looking to get involved in that, another event being put on by Microsoft MVPs, it is a specific to Microsoft event, unlike Cyber Back to School, which we made open to any cybersecurity contribution, not just Microsoft, not just AWS, not just Google, but anything that has to do with cybersecurity and risk awareness and all of those fun things. So let's jump into our Cyber Foundation Friday topic here today. Let me pull my slide deck over and minimize and make myself a little bit smaller. So today is in the AI security area, and we're going to talk about threat intelligence and using AI tools for that. I forgot to change the name of the screen here, but this is threat detection and operations with AI. So with that being said, again, here is myself. I've been introducing myself on all of these. I'm not going to do it again. But you can connect with me on social media. Be happy to do that. Here's kind of the list of where we are. We are here in October 25th, the second of the three AI Security Foundation Friday topics. And then next week, we will jump back into cyber resilience, and we're going to talk about cyber risk management action planning phases and things like that, rather than the resilience profiles. We talked a little bit about resilience profiles and implementation tiers. And if you attended that one, I decided while I was presenting that topic that we're actually going to change the November 1st topic to the cybersecurity action planning aspect of building a cyber resilience environment and cyber resilient organization. So we'll have that. We'll have risk strategy and governance a little bit on November 8th, and then we will finish off the Foundation Fridays on November 15th with AI, risk, and ethics. So a very key topic to that. Understanding, we'll talk a little bit about the AI risk management framework that NIST has, and some of those areas of discussion in the core of that framework, as well as, again, responsible AI and ethical AI aspects of things as well. So also wanted to let everybody know we've got some training coming up next week on the 29th, 30th, and 31st from 8 to 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, or 1 to 4 p.m. UTC. I am presenting the Accolade Certified Cyber Resilience Fundamentals, soon to be known as the foundations instead of fundamentals, just like risk management and AI are. So I'll be presenting that as a live virtual session. If you go to and look on my personal feed or the Captain Hyperscaler page, we're offering a special end of Cybersecurity Awareness Month discount, rather than $250 or the $200 that I've been offering for all of these courses. If you register this month, I dropped it another $25 to $175 for the Cyber Resilience Fundamentals. And so you can find the payment link and registration link on the post that myself, as well my personal LinkedIn and Captain Hyperscaler LinkedIn posted. If you follow Captain Hyperscaler on Instagram, I posted it there as well as the Captain Hyperscaler and my personal X account. You'll be able to find that link. You can pay for $175. First 5 people that register for the class next week, I will also give you a seat to the Cyber Resilience Practitioner course that is on, actually, I moved the 13th. It's on November 12th and 14th. So it's on a Tuesday and Thursday, again, in that same 8 to 11 a.m. Eastern time window, or 1 to 4 UTC if you're in the European area, or any other time zone and want to go by UTC. That would be where we would be. These discounted prices of $175 do not come with a voucher for the cyber resilience exams. Accolade is actually offering their own cybersecurity awareness and Halloween discount, where they're giving an extra $13 off of the exam voucher. So I'm working kind of this discount along with the discounted voucher, and you're saving quite a bit of money on the course and everything. You will get the ebook with my exam as well for the cyber resilience, because there is an ebook for that particular, for the fundamentals and the practitioner. It's one book that covers all the material for that as well. So yeah, hopefully you can go to our LinkedIn pages. You can find the payment link and take advantage of that. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about some areas that we brushed over a few weeks ago when we were talking about AI security, because I wanted to go a little bit deeper into how AI can help us with threat detection and operations. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few different things here today. Email threats, detecting email threats, using AI algorithms for malware threat detection, anomaly detection, user authentication security, and penetration testing are going to be like the 5 topics that we'll go through today at a high level. Again, we talk a little bit about some of this in the AI Security Foundations course, but also very good topics, that I teach and talk about quite a bit. If you want to learn more about it, we can do a 1-day workshop, or even a deeper workshop around AI security, around security and operations. But AI is definitely, if we talk about AI, and we'll talk about risk management with AI and ethics with AI in a few weeks, as kind of our last topic around AI security, which gets a little bit more into our risks and how we manage the risks that come about with utilization of AI. This is kind of that AI and how AI helps us in security, rather than necessarily how it's going to hurt us and hurt our security and privacy and things like that. So that's really what we're going to talk about today. And a key thing that we're is understanding, the trends and understanding what's taking place and what those threats are, what the impacts of those threats are. And one of those is obviously email threats and email threat detection. Um, we can use algorithms, we can use machine learning to detect, and to thwart various campaigns that come through email. And that's really, really, utilizing that, training models, and understanding what is taking place within potential email threats. Is there a particular attack out there? Not much different than a lot of operations already takes place around our security operations and what we want to find. But machine learning is going to help us find those anomalies, which is going to be a main piece to what we talk about here, throughout. And so when we talk about um, uh, knowing, enhancing that detection, automating the analysis and response, understanding that AI and machine learning can act a lot faster to make detections and understand the various techniques, and we can train those techniques. And a lot of security tools already have in place ways to train machine learning models to detect uh, the various techniques that cyber criminals are using. And this is one thing that I kind of, that I talk about an awful lot when I'm doing a training class. And we're talking about AI, obviously. AI, machine learning, machine learning, machine learning. It's all over these slides. Um, what Again, to kind of go back to what is artificial intelligence? It is artificial intelligence because what it does is it replicates the activity of human beings. And before we can replicate that activity of human beings, we need to make sure that uh, we are training, and things are in the ability for for overall our overall application to continue to assign, to continue to learn. And so we put things in place within our application development. We build our applications according to what we believe these techniques are, and we train on these techniques. So uh, what we need to do is harness the threat intelligence that we already know and that experts already know, and bring that into our models. And so that's how we can make these machine learning models better, and be able to detect things better and understand various patterns. I get a report, being a customer of Comcast, or Xfinity as they're known, and being that being that being that customer. Every Sunday night I get an email address, or email from them, and it is a cybersecurity, essentially, uh, dashboard or report, in terms of how many bots they've thwarted, how many emails they've blocked, how many websites they've how many emails they've quarantined, how many websites they've blocked, and things like that. It's a great report. And one of the things that, as probably cybersecurity people, we don't do enough is tell customers what we are doing more than what we are, um, and building that rapport, that this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're doing it, and this is where we're providing value. And no doubt, they're looking at my emails, they're looking at my web browsing, they're looking at various malware techniques and things like that, that's built into the and machine learning and artificial intelligence aspects to their operations to create that report and to show that report very similar to what's being shown here on the screen, uh, in terms of how it's thwarting those types of aspects. And so to do that and to train those models, we got to understand those patterns, and we can do those in various ways. Like I said, we can bring threat intelligence in, we can tag and label what an attack looks like and use that as a supervised learning model. Or again, we can cluster certain anomalies and understand, and have it learn various behaviors of our users and take that in terms of finding those patterns and those patterns of recognition, and then flag that malicious content based on what malware is. Being somebody that teaches a lot of Microsoft classes as well, I talk a lot about Microsoft. And if you look at Defender for Office 365, that is exactly what that's doing. It's looking for those anomalies. It's looking for malicious files, malicious URLs. It's looking for anomalous behavior. I'm working on clearing a problem from one of my client directors that was sending emails out through a third-party application, and Defender XDR flagged it as malicious activity because for some reason the CRM, well, not for some reason. I mean, the CRM is based in a different data center that is in a different geographic location than the client director is. And so it's flagged it as suspicious activity, especially because it was sending emails from two different IP addresses within their data center. So that's learned behavior, and it's really unsupervised learning because I didn't train that. I didn't train Defender XDR. Defender XDR is looking at typical activity of that user and seeing that for some reason it's going out from a different location, and now all of a sudden we have a situation. Again, false positives and false negatives become a situation and challenge, which is exactly what I'm dealing with. Is a false positive, which or I'm sorry, not a false positive, a false negative. And the difference between the two is a false positive is the worst of the two, because a false positive is going to is going to bring potentially and give somebody access that they should not have access. The false negative is blocking somebody that legitimately has a reason and a right to get in there and not allow it. So those are things that we want to understand, and we need to tune our models. That's where supervised training starts to come into play, and also we got to stay ahead of those threats. And what we hope again is false negatives are actually better than false positives. If our operations and our model is blocking legitimate people, yeah, people are going to get frustrated, but it's better than letting in an attacker into our environment as well. So again, enhancing that phishing detection. Most phishing attacks are coming from some sort of attacker or cybersecurity attack that's sending out many of these. So finding those common threats, those common attacks. Again, I get a list of phishing attacks that are blocked by Xfinity on a weekly basis, and there are thousands of them. Does it capture all of them? No, I still have to tag quite a few that have made their way through that I know are phishing attacks. I was talking yesterday with another amazing member of the community, May Brooks Kempler, and one of the things that we were talking about her book and we were talking about awareness among users, even among parents when children get online, and all of those things. And one of the key things around us as if we're cybersecurity people and cybersecurity professionals is that we don't is sometimes we're too arrogant about it and we'll just go ahead and click anything. Um, or we're diligent about it, but others aren't not. And one of the things that we were talking about was it's very important when an email comes in, especially if it's not from a user or if it's from some like random like accounts receivable email address or something like that, to dive in a little bit deeper. Okay. Pause before you hit that link or open that attachment. You know, look at the email. One of the things that I make sure that I do, and it's harder to do on my phone. Sometimes I'll wait until I can get to my computer, and I'll hover my mouse over the user, and a lot of times that user might, it might be the name, the display name is somebody that you know, but if you hover over it, the email address is not. So and usually it's some sort of random set of alphanumeric digits at gmail.com. That's just typical because you can very easily just create a Gmail account anywhere. Um, but everything else looks very official. They're very intricate. So those using AI to detect a lot of that is a good aspect of that. Again, got to stay ahead of those threats. And again, the our ability to use automation, use artificial intelligence, and the machine learning aspect of things is going to help us stay ahead of those threats because we can't stay ahead of them as a human being. So, what is that attack? How can that be quarantined, and how to look at that and do that content analysis, um, and take very large data sets and look at those in much further and much more detail, and that's a very key thing that we need to do. um, Again, again, more around phishing, deep learning approaches, identifying patterns, anomalous activity. uh, you know um, how do we make sure that a user that is moving around, that is at a different location, it's getting flagged and things of that nature. Again, various libraries, there's hunting libraries out there. Python libraries help for machine learning, help to do threat hunting. Various security information and event management systems, as well as um, and those solutions are generally using Python scripts. The data scientists that are looking for anomalous activity are trying to find those use cases and understand what's going on in those environments. Again, integrating AI and machine learning is going to make us more efficient, and that's going to be essentially the the overall thoughts and context of today's session is machine learning makes us do human things faster, and that's really a key aspect of things. you know Again, malware threats, uh same thing as like email and phishing. We're using algorithms, finding what those threats are. Now, there's some limitations and challenges here, as well as there are with phishing attacks. What is the limitations that AI might have? Again, limitations to anomalous based detection. If we're looking for anomalies, um, and there's an anomaly, but it's our own created anomaly, there is a level again of false negatives, false positives that might come into play. Again, same kind of thing. um, you know what are we looking at? What are the algorithm? Again, supervised learning algorithms, unsupervised. We got the reinforcement. We got the deep learning algorithms. I'll talk more about the supervised and unsupervised are the simplest to describe. And again, this is foundational, and I'm not going to take everything away from the classes that I teach. But when we talk about supervised learning algorithms, we talk about we've labeled the information. So we've got data, we've labeled that data, and we've labeled this is malicious, this isn't malicious, so that it can learn from that standpoint in a supervised environment. Unsupervised, we're allowing it to look at unlabeled data and come up with its own conclusions about that. Then we look at that data and we can then tell it, no, you're off base and things like that, and adjust accordingly. There's also semi-supervised where we give it some labeled data, we give it some unlabeled data, and we see what it can figure out. And that's really what it comes down to. Again, AI over traditional detection, scalability, real-time detection and response, proactive and automated mitigation potentially. I use those three before the fourth because, again, increased detection accuracy, yes and no, because we may have false positives, we may have false negatives. We've got to train it appropriately. If we're training it appropriately, yes, we could be at that level of better detection, better accuracy to our threats. Can definitely fall into that. Increased detection accuracy or more efficient detection accuracy might even be a better term here, because it's going to find those threats much quicker than over traditional detection techniques, which is, human beings running queries. Maybe they're sifting through logs visually. That's going to be, that's again where increased detection accuracy comes into play, because we aren't sifting through those logs from that standpoint. So again, when we need to make sure we're preparing and extracting data appropriately and processing that information appropriately, training and validating those models, understanding what types of false positives and false negatives might come in, and find that intersection point that we're comfortable with, and then also again, optimization, and again, reinforcing all that information and reinforcing how we're learning. Again, we want to make sure we're representing and we're creating and using our tools and threat intelligence that we have available to us for learning and for developing around malware detection as well. Again, using software, analyzing, mitigating, behavioral analysis, and then using that to quarantine potential malware, and integrating this malware detection into various security frameworks as well. So if we can be adaptable and scalable, if we are improving our incident response, we're using AI to drive and to build upon what we're doing today to be more effective in the future. And some of those tools that we use, again, Python is a very helpful language, and there's a lot of Python repositories out there that gives us hunting scripts and queries that we can do to analyze and to understand what's going on within our environments, and what particular events might be incidents, and analyzing that accordingly, again, and then mitigating and really building upon real-time monitoring, which ultimately is, if we don't know it's taking place, we don't know it's happening. And that is the important aspect of real-time monitoring. And really, AI can make us more effective and efficient in real-time monitoring and understanding and identifying those threats and monitoring those threats early, and looking at the different types of threats, what those threats look like, how they continue to function within the environments, are all key aspects to all of this. How does the malware, and how can we automate those defense strategies? So one of the things that using AI and using various SIM and SOAR type solutions is the automation aspect, taking the human element out of it, so that we are not ultimately um, that we aren't involved in those repetitive tasks. We want to focus as an organization in the more complex types of attacks and finding those effectively and responding to those. So AI can help us with those more repetitive, more standard operating procedure from a standpoint of response. I'll go into that again. And so from there, now we can use AI for incident response and threat and improve incident response through threat intelligence. Incident response, when we talk about incident responses, we've got an event that has become an incident and we need to respond to. We should have a incident response management plan and team and everything that goes into that so that we do that appropriately and properly. We're not going to talk about that here today. I talk about that in various cyber resilience and cybersecurity and cyber management courses and things like that. So we're not going to get deep into what is incident response today, but if you don't know, feel free to reach out. We can teach you up on that. Again, malware, 0-day attacks. AI can help with those 0-day attacks. I saw a demo just this week for a company that is focusing on this and focusing on really 0-day attacks to operational availability was really their pitch. And I overheard, I had my own table for Captain Hyperscaler, and I overheard them talking to a local CSO, and and they asked him specifically, do you think we should be targeting security operations? Because what they were really what they were targeting was IT operations and the patch management aspect of it all. And he didn't hesitate, and neither would I have if that question was asked to me. Was he said yes, and what they didn't want to do was, and why they were really focusing on IT operations and making sure your patches didn't create any availability issues was primarily that was that in many enterprise organizations there's security people and there's IT people, and they didn't want to create any kind of conflict between the two, that that where this product was going to be used, and they kind of geared in on this particular persona, and that was where they were building their proof of value. But when we think about it and we take into account 0-day attacks and many 0-day attacks coming through some level of patch vulnerability or system vulnerability, there's a real need for that. And from a confidentiality, integrity, and availability aspect, and they were really focusing on the availability of that of that triangle of objectives. But those are still security, availability is still a security objective. So building cyber resilience is an important aspect of that, and one that I'll be teaching about next week. So let's jump let's jump in now into network anomaly detection, and really, what is a network anomaly? What kind of outcomes and what kind of techniques do we look at here? What are the different types, and what are we looking at here? We'll talk about identity here in a second, but when we say the word anomaly, what we're looking for is anything that isn't typical to our organization. And so when we dive into that and we look at network anomalies, this is traffic going across our environment that isn't usual. And that could be a variety of things. It could be, and one of the things that uh, that I've taught and discussed in terms of monitoring network traffic is if we are is putting alerts on your compute resources and your network traffic flow, because a dramatic increase in that traffic could be a indicator of a potential attack, an indicator of an event that's taking place. And why is that? Because if you think about the motivation between many attacks, especially your typical your typical type of attack, is is as a data breach. The When somebody is extrapolating data out of your environment, they are there's going to be an increased level of network traffic taking place because all that data is exiting, right? So again, it's kind of like your spidey senses should go up if you see somebody carting a whole bunch of boxes out of your building all of a sudden, right? It's no different than that. That network traffic is virtual boxes of information leaving your digital facilities. So you can think about that from that standpoint and understanding that anomaly detection. There's there's insider risk tools and techniques, to see if a malicious employee or a disgruntled employee is taking customer files out of the building and things of that nature too. Those all, that's going to increase network. If we see that increase activity, then that's going to cause a situation. Again, detecting those anomalies, understanding what an anomaly is. Again, I kind of gave you that, quick information, a whole bunch of information coming out, um, you know, connections from deemed malicious IP addresses, things of that, and so very important around that. And so, a key tool and a key way to protect against this is having a next generation firewall. And I like how it's called an AI enabled firewall. I haven't necessarily seen anything called an AI enabled firewall. We still talk about next generation firewalls, which have been around. Next generation firewalls have been around like 20 years now, so I don't know how next generation they are, but they are, they were built for deep packet inspection. And so if we're doing that deep packet inspection on a next generation firewall, or we've got a web application firewall that's looking for potential malicious activities within our environment, and using and enhancing network security by learning that malicious activity, that's where AI comes into play. Again, operating procedures, having a procedural model for implementing AI is an important aspect. It should be documented. If we look at the AI risk management framework, we look at the governance, we look at the mapping, the measuring, and the management of our AI tools, and that should continue to be a way that we use it within operations as well. Anything we're developing that uses AI should have some level of um, of understanding, of documentation, of metrics, of continuous monitoring, and network anomaly detection is no different. We should be making sure that we're evaluating. We've got human eyes on it and understanding the effectiveness of that security, and having again, the challenges are also pieces of that as well. Um, Understand that there are disadvantages. Like any other security control, there's potential aspects of false positives, false negatives. And not it's no different with AI. With AI, again, we're only as good as the model that we train it against, and and the amount of supervision that we have in place and how we're monitoring effectiveness. Those are all things that we need to consider, we need to watch. User authentication, very similar. Again, why are we using user, why is it important? Again, if we think from a defense in depth approach, identity and access to the network starts with user authentication. So everything we talked about in the previous section around network security and network anomalies and things like that start with somebody gaining access to our network. I'm sorry about moving my neck around. I got like a kink in my neck and it's bugging me. User authentication is authentication is a user proving who they are and who they say they are, and from there, once they prove who they are and who they say they are, they're authorized to gain access to resources. If they are a administrator level type of person, that could lead to elevation of privileges and aspects of things that could be detrimental to our organization. So we want to make sure that we have and we address the risks and concerns within user authentication, and AI can be an aspect of that as well. Again, what is the role, and what are the benefits and some of the challenges? Again, here's where like things like behavior analysis really come into play, and biometric recognition. Especially with the increase in deep fakes and the ability to replicate somebody's voice and things of that nature. We've got to understand the risks and vulnerabilities of some of these biometric recognition techniques, to then recognize and find potential anomalous behavior. And there's again the AI use in anomaly detection and securing our identities, and there's also the AI aspect of identity-based attacks that we've got to worry about. So putting the various behavior analysis in place, understanding what's an anomaly, what is anomalous behavior, and what might take place within those environments that might cause that might be an indicator of compromise within our environment. Again, the key thing around all of this is you have a user environment. The user environment is exposed to the internet and to the outside, and from there you might have a particular situation where somebody's identity has been compromised and been spoofed, and so we've got to be able to recognize that change in behavior and detect that anomaly, and AI is going to help us with that as well. Again, biometric recognition systems, AI is going to help us with that, obviously, and recognizing, we use Face ID on our phones, on our Windows Hello, and all of those are all aspects of things that we want to understand. Again, what is our defenses against unauthorized access? What our risk-based authentication. What building zero trust within our identity and access management is going to be very important here. Understand what is going to take place, and understand what typical looks like, and ultimately, again, if we talk about confidentiality, integrity, and availability, the user wants to be able to get into their systems when they need to get into them. If we are having an issue with the user and the user experience and the security, they're going to find other ways. So we want to make sure that we are creating what is seen as a seamless experience, not much different than what they've been used to as well. Convenience and security becomes a very key aspect to that piece, because we want to understand, we want to maintain our security our roles, our aspect of maintaining maintaining a secure environment, but we also don't want to inconvenience the users. So that kind of goes along with that whole balancing act of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Users want it to be available when they want it available, but we need to maintain confidentiality of the information they're accessing, and we need to maintain the integrity of the user and make sure that they haven't been compromised as well. And so adaptive authentication technologies can help, again, understanding, you know, what, uh, you know, how the users are accessing, analyzing the user behavior are going to be very important here. And there's various different AI-based platforms for authentication. Microsoft Entra ID does a lot of that, does a lot of behavior analysis within its platform for risky users and user risk and sign-in risk and looking for anomalous behavior that drives information into Microsoft Sentinel and things of that nature, or other third-party tools. Again, lots of different platforms, lots of different capabilities, and again, constantly an evolution from from building from those techniques and all of that. Again, these techniques and these tools are going to continue to evolve and develop within all of our cloud providers, within our third-party software in our data center. They should be continuously bringing you updates in terms of how they're using AI and things like that. And so if they aren't, then you can look a little bit differently at them in terms of why aren't you building, you know, some level of behavioral analysis into how our users are authenticating, into the techniques we're using for multi-factor authentication, into how users are authorized, and those types of things. AI, again, based authorization and things like that. I think the last thing we're going to talk about here is penetration testing. So key aspect, obviously, to understanding our vulnerabilities and understanding and getting into the shoes of an attacker is utilizing things like penetration testing. And so penetration testing is going to analyze those vulnerabilities. And how do we do that level of penetration testing and maybe get away from the need to hire an independent consultant? We might be able to do some vulnerability scans and do some level of finding those anomalies, finding those potential threats through some level of penetration testing within our systems. So we can integrate that what's called threat hunting, which threat hunting is no different than some sort of high level penetration test. It's looking for where our vulnerabilities might be. We're also looking for potential events that may be indicators of compromise or indicators of an attack, and that's really doing that dynamic level of threat monitoring in real time using AI and integrating that AI into your security and information and event management systems, and putting security operations and automated response solutions, or SOAR, into that situation as well, to use AI again to understand and to identify a threat and detect and do dynamic threat analysis, and then from there do automated response to those techniques that are that are easily and repeatably handled. And so self-learning systems, adaptive security, AI-assisted incident response. How do we automate certain workflows and things of that nature? I did a talk last Friday at a Project Management Institute, PMI, local Great Lakes chapter, professional development day, and we were talking about AI tools and using AI to enable and automate like collaboration and things like that. It can be done as well from adaptive incident response and automate policy enforcement, maybe automate the automate communications and things of that nature. Again, adapting to evolving threats is very important. Again, real-time monitoring, integration into our SIM systems, and doing real-time threat detection are all aspects of of doing things better and understanding what's taking place within our environment. You can't respond and you can't protect against something you don't know is there. So we want to continuously monitor and understand what's going on within those environments. And these are some, I'm sorry, I copied some redundant slides there. The AI driven penetration testing is automated. Again, doing automated methods, looking for and simulating attacks, identifying those vulnerabilities, and driving that penetration testing. Hold on one second. Using AI, again, simulating attacks, doing AI driven testing, providing continuous validation. All are things that we want to make sure that we do. We again, get real time reporting on what's taking place. Um, um, the sophisticate again, simulating sophisticated attacks, and things of that nature. Again, we learn from these models. We build these models. We have these models. We have the threat intelligence. We have open source Python threat hunting tools and things that we can drive information through our tools and automate that information accordingly. And again, simulate those attacks so that we can then find the various potential vulnerabilities and weaknesses that could be exploited. So that's what penetration testing ultimately is. A lot of times we'll hire consultants to do it, but we could do it ourselves utilizing some of these threat hunting tools and scripts and things like that as well. We want to continuously validate. What we want to do is validate our security, and then continuously harden, use hardening tools, use the SOAR, the automated response, to protect us against those known vulnerabilities, those um, those emerging threats and things of that nature. That's and AI can help us efficiently do those. Again, identify that network security. Provide those right tools. AI based scanners to again, accuracy, efficiency, um, real time reporting, and results. Key things around that really is just to kind of pause for a second and understand that, hey, if you aren't monitoring and you aren't looking at how you can make things better, you are not being proactive. You're not building a risk aware and cyber resilient culture, and you are not building a repeatable culture. We talked about implementation tiers last week, and we talked about the various tiers of tier one, just being emerging, not being really having any policies or procedures in place. We've got the aware organization at tier two. We've got the repeatable organization at three. And then we've got the adaptive organization at tier four. And using AI based tools and using the tools and techniques for building cyber resilience is really going to be where you become that adaptive organization. AI is going to help you get there. Again, the scanners, open source versus commercial tools. Again, I think I talk about this in a lot of classes. We talk about open source. Open source there are a lot of open source repositories, a lot of open source tools that are free, that aren't necessarily as robust as going out and purchasing a commercial tool. But you might be able to provide some customization to those open source tools that you can on a commercial tool. But there's potential risks to that as well, because everybody's collaborating, and you might have somebody malicious collaborate to that open source tool. So so you got to understand what your budget is, what the resources are, and also do your due diligence and do care in making sure that the tool is right for you and it is protected appropriately. AI is going to continue. AI is going to continue to be a tool used by attackers as well as a tool used by cybersecurity. And more organizations are putting AI, cyber mesh aspects to building and working towards evaluating potential threats and building algorithms to build more threat intelligence around our enterprise organizations. And the key security companies that are out there are all are, if they are not building some level of AI tooling within their solution, they're going to be left behind as well. So understand that it will continue to have a role, because we've got to be more from a security practitioner perspective, be in front of the attackers, or at least kind of lockstep with them. And they're going to continue to use AI to facilitate attacks. We need to make sure we're using AI to find those attacks, find those events, and make ourselves more automated and more efficient and effective. The last bullet here: AI will be used to improve accuracy and effectiveness of security measures. Again, yes, they can, because there's a what we used to call log fatigue, when we used to have to look at logs manually and try and find the anomaly. Obviously, AI is going to help find those anomalies a lot quicker and be more accurate, because they're using math, and they're not they're more resilient to potential bias, potential fatigue, and things of that nature. So that brings us to the conclusion of today's session. And again, next week we'll be back with talking about cyber resilient action plans, and we'll talk about that, risk strategy and governance on November 8th, and finally risk and ethics for AI on November 15th. So I want to thank everybody that attended today, and everybody that's attending online. Again, go, if you are attending today or see this sometime today or within the next couple days, even Monday, I will be doing a cyber resilience foundations course on October 29th, 30th, and 31st. So I will see everybody there, and hopefully offering a special discount for that Accolade course, and Accolade's offering a special discount on their voucher through October 31st. So it will align appropriately, and the first 5 people that register for that course, I will give you a free seat to the Accolade Cyber Resilience Practitioner course, which is the partner course to Foundations, and the follow-up course once you have that certification to get the practitioner certification and have that cyber resilience professional certification through Accolade. So again, reach out to me if you have any questions. You can find me on social media, and I want to thank everybody for their time today. Thanks everybody that has been attending and viewing any of the sessions on Cyber Back to School, as well as all of the contributors that have made this inaugural event a success. We had sessions every day of the business week, and some on weekends, but mostly hand picked and hand scheduled for the weekdays. Hopefully next year it'll be like Azure Back to School, and we have something every day of the week, 7 days a week. So thanks everybody. Thank you for attending here today. And as I like to say, and we like to say at Captain Hyperscaler, let's continue to skill up like a superhero. You're doing that by attending and listening to the Cyber Foundation Friday little events, whether they're an hour and a half. I think we've been pretty much around hour 15 minutes here the last few weeks. We will continue to do those to skill you up like a superhero, but also welcome you to attend Captain Hyperscaler's courses to learn more. So thanks everybody.